At 82, I've learned a lot about life, but there's one choice I truly regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right thing to do. My family encouraged it, saying I'd have all the care and comfort I needed. I believed them, but once I moved in, I realized it was nothing like I thought. Maybe you're thinking about this for yourself or a loved one. Maybe it feels like the safest choice, or you've been told it will make life easier. But before you do it, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me. Because life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience, it changes everything. And once you're in, getting out isn't simple. Stay with me to the end, as some lessons might surprise you. If you know someone thinking about a nursing home, this might be what they need to hear. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you enjoy this video, please type 1 in the comments. If you don't like it, type 0 in the comments to let me know, so I can make better videos for you. Now, let's get started. Regret 1: losing my independence. The biggest shock after moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room or set meal times. I was losing control over my own life. At home, I had my routines. I decided when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could walk, cook, or read whenever I wanted. But in the nursing home, my time was no longer my own. Everything ran on their schedule. Breakfast was at a set time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights out was at a certain hour, ready or not. Want to walk outside? You might need permission and have to wait for help. Simple choices like what to eat or were felt like privileges, not basic rights. I remember my first week, waking up in a bed that wasn't mine. I looked around, and it hit me. This wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, all the little comforts I'd collected were gone. In their place were sterile walls and a bed I didn't choose. I felt like I was no longer in charge of my own life. The hardest part? Once you give up your independence, getting it back is almost impossible. You learn to fit into their system, and in doing so, you start to lose yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the small freedoms that make life yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you can imagine. Regret 2: feeling forgotten. One of the hardest truths about moving into a nursing home is realizing that the world outside keeps moving without you. When I first arrived, my family promised to visit often. And at first, they did. My daughter came weekly and my grandchildren on weekends. For a while, I felt connected to my old life. But as months passed, visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of visiting. My grandchildren got busy. Holidays were the hardest. Everyone promised to come, but plans always changed. Soon, I was sitting alone, watching other residents, hoping someone would remember them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life just got in the way. When you're not around every day, it's easy for people to think you're fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget how much you still need them. I remember one evening, holding my phone, wondering whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden or remind him I was waiting for a visit that might never come. So I put the phone down, and it hit me. This was my life now, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. Regret 3: losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities, routines, hobbies, and a reason to get up in the morning. Even small things like watering plants, making coffee, or tidying my space gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. Meals were made for me, cleaning was done by someone else, and the plants weren't mine anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to just relax. No more chores, just rest. But after a few weeks, something was missing. The days felt long, with nothing to do but wait. I saw it in other residents, too. People who were once full of energy now spent their days sitting, staring, waiting for time to pass. There was George, 84, a carpenter his whole life. At home, he was always fixing things. But here, no tools, no projects, nothing to create. I watched him slowly pull away, his once strong hands now idle. "I feel useless," he told me one day, and I knew exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to care for or work toward, life starts to lose its meaning. The mind slows, the body follows, and soon you feel like just another resident in a place where time moves, but nothing changes. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't just about filling your time. It's about fighting to hold onto the things that make you feel alive. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could take care of myself, walk and cook my meals. My routines kept me moving. Grocery shopping, morning stretches, even just walking around the house. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it seemed like I was just taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, and I didn't have to cook. If I needed something, I'd push a button and someone would help. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I stopped moving as much, and soon my legs felt stiffer. I sat more, and getting up from a chair became a chore. The muscles I maintained for years disappeared faster than I expected. And it wasn't just me. I saw it happen to others. People who walked in on their own were suddenly using wheelchairs. Independent people needed help with things they had never struggled with before. The more help we were given, the more we seemed to need it. I remember my neighbor, Alice, 81, who was lively when she arrived. She took daily walks, insisting she wouldn't slow down. But after a few months, she wasn't walking as much. Then she used a walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she told me, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." That's exactly how it felt. When you stop using your body, you start losing it. In a nursing home, where everything is designed to make things easier, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience. It's about surviving. If I had known how quickly I'd lose my strength, I would have fought harder to keep moving, to stay active, to push myself even when I didn't feel like it. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything is set up to make life effortless? Because once you slow down, getting back up isn't as easy as you think. Regret 5. The loss of privacy and dignity. One thing I didn't fully consider before moving into a nursing home was how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit in silence, and do things on my terms. But in a nursing home, privacy is a luxury you don't always get. From the moment I arrived, I felt constantly watched. Staff coming in and out, scheduled room checks, and shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even simple things like getting dressed or using the bathroom often required someone's help. I know they were just doing their job, but it's hard to accept help for things you've done independently your entire life. I remember my first week struggling with the idea that I had to ask permission for things I once did without thinking. Want a shower? You might have to wait for help. Need to use the restroom? Pressing the call button sometimes means waiting longer than you'd like. Even meal choices were limited. If you didn't like what was on the menu, too bad. And then there was the issue of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing a space with someone you didn't choose can be frustrating. I was lucky to have a kind roommate, but I heard stories from others whose roommates were loud, unclean, or had cognitive issues that made sleep nearly impossible. No matter how much you try to make your room feel like home, it's never truly yours. Dignity is a hard thing to lose, and I didn't realize how much of mine I'd have to surrender until I was already there. When people knock, but don't always wait for an answer, when you're spoken to like a patient instead of a person, when your daily routines are dictated by a schedule you didn't create, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared to give up the privacy and control you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, it's hard to get back. Regret 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I thought I'd try it, see how things went, and if I didn't like it, I could always leave. But what I didn't realize was how hard it would be to get out once I was in. At first, it seemed simple. If I didn't like it, I'd just go home. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house sat empty, and maintaining it from a distance became difficult. My children had already started making changes, selling things they thought I wouldn't need, even thinking about renting out the place. When I brought up returning, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then there was my physical decline. After months of living in a place where I didn't have to cook, clean, or even walk much, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I once had started slipping away, making the idea of moving back home more difficult than I ever imagined. I wasn't as confident in my ability to live alone, and that fear kept me stuck. I met others who had the same experience. They thought they'd try the nursing home for a little while, only to realize that leaving wasn't as easy as they thought. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to adjust to life outside. Some people even lost the option entirely once their home was sold or their savings were drained by the cost of care. There was no going back. That's the part nobody tells you. Moving in feels like a decision you can reverse, but for most people, it isn't. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world, and before you know it, the outside life you once knew starts feeling like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that once you go in, leaving might not be as simple as you think? Because once you settle in, the barriers to leaving, whether financial, physical, or emotional, can be harder to overcome than you expect. Final thoughts. My hard-learned lesson. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a world that slowly took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and even my sense of self. Does that mean nursing homes are all bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide. But before you make that decision, think very carefully about what you're giving up. Because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to get help without giving up my freedom, and made sure I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent move. And if you're facing this decision, I hope you take the time to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me? Or is it just what seems easiest right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.